I love K-pop demon hunters. So unless you've been living under a rock for the past several months, you would have likely heard of or watched this children's movie. It's only become like the most watched thing on Netflix, it's been all over Spotify and even Fortnite. So yeah, I assume you've at least heard of it. And I watched this movie well before anyone started talking about it online. It was like 2 or 3 days after it came out, and because of the lackluster marketing, I couldn't say my expectations were very high. I mean, come on, it's titled K-pop Demon Hunters. It can't be that good, right? Well, little did my stupid self know that this movie would become so culturally significant in the coming months. And the best part about all this is that the hype is real. This movie is good. But now that most of the movie's hype has died down, I thought I just might as well make my own review. So, let's dive right into the meat of this movie. First, let me summarize the plot. This movie follows 3 girls, Mira, the badass edgy one, Rumi, the protagonist, and oh my goodness, Zoe, who is the best one. They are a group of K-pop idols who go by the name Huntrix, and they are secretly undercover demon hunters who have formed a protective barrier called the Honmoon through their music. However, what's kept even more secret is that our protagonist Rumi is actually a half-breed demon due to some affairs regarding her parents. Rumi, with the support of her guardian Celine, has kept the shame of her true demon identity hidden from everyone and has never let this burden ever tear down her character, until it eventually and uncontrollably does. We find out that the demonic patterns that she has attempted to cover up her entire life has finally started to catch up to her and affect her. That is until she meets Jinu, a 400-year-old demon who Rumi finds great comfort in speaking with. Jinu's interactions with Rumi are genuine, and through that Rumi really opens up to him. This sadly ends up going wrong for Rumi though, as throughout this entire time, Jinu was under the influence of this movie's equivalent of Satan, Guima. Rumi's truth of her demonic patterns that she has covered up her entire life gets publicly revealed to the world and both of her friends. Shocked by the reveal, they end up leaving her, and because of this breakup, the Huntrix girls are unable to provide music to their fans to power the Honmoon, and demons start crawling out from the underworld. Ultimately, this leads to the film's climax, where Rumi confronts what she's been hiding all of her life by finally embracing who she really is. She no longer views the patterns as a sign of her weakness, like she has in her past, and with courage, she and her friends are able to send Guima back to the underworld. As Jinu, our tragic villain redeems himself with his life. Now that I've summarized the plot, we can start the review. I don't even know where I should even start when it comes to the positives here. Like, there's so much sauce in this movie, and despite being pretty fast-paced, I'm shocked that it's nearly as cohesive as it is. The writing, the songs, the animation, the characters, the humor, like, it's all surprisingly great. But I think it's best that I talk about the writing first, because yes, despite this movie being intended for kids, it actually has some fantastic writing that both children and adults can take away from. If it's not obvious yet, in the case of Jinu and Rumi, this movie uses demonic patterns as an allegory for secrets, shame, and past traumas, with the message of the film being self-acceptance. Jinu plays the role of the tragic villain, whilst Rumi plays the role of the troubled protagonist. What makes this movie stand out in comparison to other movies with a similar message was that the past traumas that are presented here almost feel out of control for these characters. Rumi and Jinu share a lot of resemblance because they both lie about their past in some way. Rumi lies to Mira and Zoe about her true identity because of the pressure that Celine put on her ever since she was young. Meanwhile, Jinu lies to Rumi about his past due to the shame of his doings and his undercover work with Guima. In both of these circumstances, their past traumas are revealed as direct motivations for their characters, which leads them to lie outside of their control. Of course, there is a lie revealed trope here, but there is so much thematic weight to it in this example that it weirdly didn't feel much like a typical cliche. Furthermore, I love the addition of the Honmoon in this movie. It may just seem like a barrier that keeps demons out of the world on the naked eye, but writing-wise, there is a lot more going on here. From what I can pick up, the status of the Honmoon almost mirrors Rumi's state of mind at basically all points in the film. It's essentially symbolic code. But let's talk about the idea of the Golden Honmoon, which is viewed as the ultimate goal for Huntrix to fulfill. Something that previous generations of hunters couldn't accomplish and is therefore up to the girls to bring about. It's almost foretold as something that Rumi must accomplish for both her character and for the world. At the start of the film, we're told that her patterns and supposedly anything demonic will be gone once the Honmoon is golden, and because of this, Rumi decides to push up the release of the golden single. However, doing this leads to her losing her voice. This is done by the writers for a handful of reasons. Firstly, as I stated before, the Golden Honeymoon is presented as more than just a barrier. It's a near unobtainable goal that Rumi is fighting to achieve anyway. It will benefit both the world and remove her patterns, but only if she is successful. In the very words of her guardian Celine, "We are hunters, voice is strong. Our faults and fears must never be seen." What Celine implies here is that Rumi's patterns are her greatest fault. This makes Rumi form ashamed of them her entire life. One small detail that I picked up is that with the scene when demonic Rumi confronts Celine toward the end, Celine confesses how she felt about Rumi once her parents were gone, but the animators strategically only have Celine touch the human side of Rumi, not her patterns, demonstrating how she continues to uphold that her patterns are a fault and a weakness. However, covering up and hiding is not how you overcome fears, struggles, and trauma, and the movie makes that clear by the end with what it sounds like. Hiding and fighting all of Rumi's life has only brought her to demise and loss. Her voice going away was just the beginning of it. So, how does Rumi overcome the truth of what she is? Well, in her own words, no more fighting, no more secrets, and no more hiding. That's how Rumi overcomes her demons, and this can be applied to real life. I'm sure we all have patterns from the past that act as a burden on us today, things that pin us down and hurt us and force us into hiding, whether it be related to looks, race, history, religion, a tragic event, or just about anything that we can feel insecure about. What this movie brings to the table is that before you can expect other people to accept you for something, you must accept yourself for it too. If Rumi couldn't even accept herself, how could she expect her friends to? Rumi hated how the honeymoon she created with Zoe and Mira was built up upon lies and secrets, and from there she wanted to create a new one, free of the burdens from the past. No matter the shame, no matter the guilt, no matter how hard it is, accepting the truth of what you are is the first step into overcoming your fears. Man, I love this movie! It presents such a powerful message for kids in a way that many kids films nowadays just don't manage to. And I dread the fact that I am forced into recommending this movie with the title that it has. Okay, you know what? Quick side tangent. Why in the actual hell is this movie named the way that it is? Like, just name the movie Huntrix. Look, I fixed it. I don't want to be the guy going around telling people to watch a movie titled K-Pop Demon Hunters, yet here I am because it's weirdly fantastic. It's like one of my favorite animes titled I Wanna Eat Your Pancreas. Do you know how hard it is to recommend people that anime with the title that it has? Like, guys, come on, the title is just a quirk, just trust me, bro. To be fair, in this example, I am guessing that a large factor in why this movie was such a big hit is because of the title. Like, you see it on Netflix, and just by the title, you understand the whole general concept of what this movie is going to be about, but it still annoys me, okay? Anyway, let's talk about the songs. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my official ranking of the 7 K-Pop Demon Hunters songs. Because I need to stretch out this video so I can get more ad revenue, please forgive and support me. At last place, I have Soda Pop. Look, just because I have this ranked last doesn't mean I actually dislike it, though admittingly I did kind of hate this song initially, but as time has gone on, I've come to appreciate it for the amount of memes we've gotten. But still, it's the only one that I don't have on my Spotify playlist, so yeah. At number 6, I have Golden. It's good, I like it, it just personally wouldn't have been my pick for the smash hit of the soundtrack. Although I do find it funny how this song is supposed to be the story of the girls, when in reality it's mostly just about Rumi. But yeah, it's a good song, I like it. Coming in at number 5, I have Free. I actually really like this song, but I haven't listened to this one nearly as much as the others. It is still great though, and I do like listening to it. At number 4, I have What It Sounds Like. I actually tuned in for the sing-along version of this movie in a full theater, and the entire crowd went insane when this song played, and that was a religious experience that I wish I could see again. It is a great song that fits perfectly into the context of the climax. Kicking off the top 3, I have How It's Done. Mate, when this song started playing in the intro, beautiful. It introduces the girls and their traits beautifully. At number 2, I have Takedown. Wait, this is the least listened of the bunch? Traitors! No, but seriously, this song is so bitch-coded and I love it, and I will never forgive this movie for cutting out so much of it in the final cut and how they changed Mira and Zoe's voice when it's used on stage. I also love how the lyrics were switched up on Rumi here. And taking the number 1 spot, I have Your Idol. In my opinion, this one has the smartest lyrics of the bunch, the best animation in the scene it's in, and the best use in the context of its scene. Like, let me get this straight. This song is about idol worship, as it's being performed and sung by demons as they are hypnotizing their following from their true identity while summoning this movie's equivalent of Satan. No, there's something going on here. I mean, if you ask me, this song is a satire. I mean, just look at this shot. Overall, this soundtrack is absolutely phenomenal. From here, let's move on to the visuals behind this film. Sony has been no stranger when it comes to pushing how their in-house productions look, and yeah, they did an amazing job here. What is great here is that despite sharing similarities with the art style of Spider-Verse, it still has a certain unique look that really stands out. Instead of being comic book styled like Spider-Verse, it's more anime-like here. Now the models are 3D obviously, and not like traditional hand-drawn anime, but you can clearly see the influence with the facial expressions. The animators go for a clean, smoothed out look on the skin, and they make the hair look almost glossy. And overall, the end result is just something really unique and nice. The only photorealism that I can notice from this movie is like in some of the environments, but it still feels very cartoony. As far as movement goes though, you can definitely feel the Spider-Verse inspiration. Most of the characters are animated on 2s, and while editing this video, I noticed so many funny smear frames that add so much life to the animation. What's crazy too is that you probably can't even notice it while watching as well. The animation also enhances the storytelling at times. For example, take the scene with the girls before the Idol Awards. It's like one of the only scenes in the entire movie that show the girls without makeup, displaying how they are being open with each other here. Also, in the free sequence, you can see that Gino and Rumi are animated at the same frame rate, showing how they share a similar conflict and burden of their patterns. The lyrics of Free perfectly support this too. Or in the climax when Rumi embraces her true self, you can see the patterns almost melting and merging into her skin, showing how she has embraced them by the end. And this movie is also just gorgeous with its coloring, especially during the action sequences. They are insanely well choreographed too, with some breathtaking moments. All in all, Sony, yeah, keep it up with your art styles. I cannot wait to see your next film, GOAT. Now let's move on to the humor. So alongside being a musical fantasy, this film also holds the subgenre of comedy and romance. My favorite moment was this whole like K-drama sequence they had going. It's so accurate, it's hilarious. Now, I'll be the first to admit, on my first watch, I did occasionally cringe at the over-the-top animation and like the entire soda pop sequence. But in hindsight, that was likely just my brain-rotted ass speaking, because this movie has funnier humor than most internet memes nowadays. Would I call this movie cringy though? I mean, sure, occasionally, but I also wouldn't call it a negative. Even on my first viewing, I was never enduring the cringe. I was more so just embracing it, and it really paid off because this movie is really good. It reminded me of a time when I was younger before my diagnosis with stage 4 brain rot, when I just let a movie be cringe for the sake of fun and not care. So at least to me, it didn't really matter. This leads me to my negatives. Look, I love this movie as much as the next guy, but you can still love something and want more from it. In the case of Kpop Demon Hunters, I wouldn't necessarily call this movie perfect. This film for sure could have used another 20 minutes or so to flesh out its world building. There's like a fight scene midway through here where we learn about water variants of demons, which really opens up this world, and I would have enjoyed learning more about the different variations of demons. Zoe and Mira are another part of this movie that also could have benefited from a longer runtime. We learn a little bit about their backstories through some of the songs, but because of how tight the runtime is, we sadly just don't get all that much time with them. Again, I am grateful that this movie is so cohesive despite its tight runtime, but this still frustrates me because when we actually do get time with Mira or Zoe, it's really great. Like, we learn that Mira underwent some struggles with fitting in as a child, and I could see how that affected her character clearly with her being more reckless than the other two. Knowing that Mira felt alienated because of her reckless personality as a child made Huntrix's breakup feel very powerful to me, because being a part of Huntrix was Mira's way to move past her dark history. Or in the context of this movie, I suppose you can say her patterns of the past similar to Rumi. However, in the case of Zoe, I really couldn't connect with her conflict at all. She's described as being a people pleaser, but I didn't really see how that connects to her backstory of living two lives as foretold in Golden. I still love Zoe and Mira though, so calling this a negative really does hurt. Anyway, let's move on to Ginu, who's kind of a loose end here if I'm being honest. He is a fantastic tragic villain who has a conflict that works beautifully alongside Rumi, but his arc did not feel very complete, at least in comparison to Rumi. But I can just sense his character excelling in the sequel, and yes, I am betting on him being alive through Rumi's empowered sword. Like, come on guys, there is so much talk here about souls and Ginu, it's almost like the writers were teasing that he's still alive. Ultimately, most of my issues with this movie just kind of come down to the fact that I want more of this movie, because I just really love it. I'm sure that future installments will cover up what I've brought here, or at least I hope so. And there you have it, that's my review of Kpop Demon Hunters. From its refined animation style to its heavy thematic weight and message of self-acceptance to the damn soundtrack consuming my soul, this movie is an animated gem in almost every regard. I for one am very glad that an original film became as big as it did here. And despite the minor hiccups and nitpicks I have here, my score for K-pop Demon Hunters is an A. Definitely a must-watch for the family, and I will most definitely be watching the sequel, despite the fact that I will be a 20-year-old man by the time we finally get it. Anyway, that's all from me, gang. God bless, and I'll see you next time.